everyone, welcome back to another session. In this session, we'll learn about the detailed explanation of Snapshot, chapter number 2, The Address by Marga Minko. Brief introduction to the author. Marga Minko was born on March 31st, 1920. She is a Dutch journalist and writer. Her first book, The Bitter Herb, was published in the year 1957, in which a nameless character goes through war experiences that is reminiscent of the author's own. This phenomenon was further described in her collection of short stories, The Other Side. She has been awarded the prestigious Konstantin Huygens Prize. She also won the PC Hoof Prize in the year 2019, one of the most important Dutch literary awards. Let's get started with the story. Before we start the story, here is a brief introduction to it. This story underlines the human dilemma that follows war and death of a loved one. This is brought out through an emotional account of a daughter who goes in search of her mother's belongings after the war in Holland. The narrator is a Dutch Jew who had to leave Holland during the Second World War. She had left the place along with her mother for safety. She was told by her mother to remember number 46 Marconi Street, where Mrs. Darling lived. Mrs. Darling was the woman who had insisted on keeping their things safely till the war was over or till they returned. When life became normal, the narrator was curious about the possessions that were still at the address, and she decided to visit it. Now she was back to where her past things and memories lay. She wanted to see and touch the things in order to revive those memories. So now here the story starts. The narrator asked the woman standing at the door if she still knew her. The lady had opened the door a little. The narrator came closer to the door and stood there. The woman responded negatively, and the narrator gave her introduction. She said she was Mrs. S.'s daughter. The woman had held the door tightly as she didn't want her to enter the house. She kept staring at her as though she couldn't recognize her. The narrator thought maybe she had come to the wrong house. Moreover, she thought she had seen the woman only for a short time years ago. The woman who opened the door stepped aside and let go of the door. The narrator recognized her mother's green knitted cardigan that the woman was wearing. However, the wooden buttons had become pale because of the washing. The woman noticed the narrator looking at the cardigan. Then she hid herself behind the door. Now the narrator knew, and she was certain that she had come to the right house. The narrator asked the woman about her mother. The woman asked her if she had come back. She said that she had thought that none of the people who had left had come back. To this, the narrator replied that only she had come back. The woman opened the door and a passage was behind her. A stale smell emerged all over the passage. The woman told her that she could not do anything for her. Then the narrator told her that she had come from far place on the train just to talk to her. The woman told her it was not convenient to talk right then, and she asked her to come back later. The woman closed the door as she didn't want anyone to get disturbed inside the house. The narrator was still standing on the door. She saw a curtain moving on the window bay. Someone was staring at her from inside the house. She thought it was nothing, as the woman would have told her. Then the narrator looked at the number plate. It said number 46, and Darling was written on the plate on white enamel, and she was going back. Then she decided to go back to the station, and she was thinking about her mother who gave her the address, and it was first half of the war, and she was home for a few days, and suddenly it struck her that the room was different now. Various things were missing, and her mother was a bit happy and was surprised that she noticed the changes a little later. And it was that time when she told her about this woman, Mrs. Darling. She was an old contact of hers whom she hadn't seen for years. Suddenly she came to visit her, and since then they had been in regular contact. Her mother told her that whenever that woman came to visit her, she took something from the house with her: tables, silvers, antique plates, and she had trouble over carrying the large vase. She told her that the cramp in her back came from the crockery. Her mother shook her head in sorrow. The woman kept telling the narrator's mother that she wanted to save her precious things. If they had to leave the place someday, they would lose everything. The narrator asked her mother if she really wanted her to take all the things with her. Her mother replied that even if she didn't, it would be a kind of insult to her, and she was going out with a risk herself, a suitcase all the time full of items. Her mother noticed that the narrator wasn't convinced and looked at her critically. After that day, they never talked about this incident again. The narrator, thinking about the past now, reached the station without noticing any details on the way. She passed the familiar things after the war for the first time. She didn't want to upset herself with the familiar sights of houses and streets that reminded her of all the precious times with her mother. The narrator again recalls the time when she saw Mrs. Darling in person a day after her mother told her about her. The narrator that day woke up late that morning, and as she was going downstairs, she saw her, the lady with broad back. Her mother was seeing her out. Her mother introduced the narrator to the lady. She signaled to her, and the woman responded with a nod. She picked the suitcase under the coat rack, and she was wearing a brown coat and a shapeless hat. The narrator asked her mother if she lived far away. The mother told her the address at that moment, and it was Marconi Street, number 46. And her mother asked her to remember it. The narrator remembered the address, but she took too long to visit the place. After the freedom, she was on one hand not interested, and on the other was afraid. She was afraid of getting confronted with the past memories and connections that no longer existed. Connections were hidden in cupboards and boxes. It seemed that those memories were waiting in vain to put them back to their places, as they had suffered all these years because they were just things. According to the narrator, things were getting normal in her life, but one day she got curious about all the things that were still at that address. She wanted to see them and touch them. After the first hopeless visit, now she decided to try one more time when she reached Mrs. Darling's home. This time, a girl of 15 years opened the door. The narrator asked her about her mother. She told her that she was outside doing some errands, to which the narrator decided that she would wait for her. The narrator then followed the girl along the passage. There was a Hanukkah candle holder hung next to a mirror. She remembered that she never used it, as it was unmanageable, as it was too heavy. The girl asked her to sit down as she opened the door for the living room. She stopped and she was disturbed. The narrator was disturbed. She was standing in a room which she knew and she didn't. She was standing in the middle of things which she didn't want to see, and they oppressed her. Maybe because of the way things were arranged there, or the humid smell in the room, or the ugly furniture. And then she was scared to look at everything. She sat down on a chair which the girl pulled out for her, She looked at the woolen tablecloth. She rubbed it, and her fingers felt warm. As she followed the lines of the pattern on the tablecloth, she remembered a burn mark that was never repaired by her mother. The girl told her that her mother would be back soon and asked if she would like to have a cup of tea. And the narrator answered with a thank you. The narrator then looked up. She saw the girl put 2 cups of tea in front of her. She had a broad back, just like her mother. She poured tea from the teapot, and it had a gold border on the lid. She opened a box then and took some spoons out of it. The narrator complimented the girl about the box. She felt weird hearing her own voice, and it was sounding different to her. As the girl turned to give her a cup, she asked if she knew about the box. Then she added that it is antique, according to her mother. She pointed around the room and said that there are many more such antique pieces. She told her to see, although the narrator didn't need to follow her direction. She knew what she was talking about. Then the narrator glanced over the tea table. She remembered how she used to fancy the apple on the pewter plate. Then the girl shared that they used the plate for everything. Once they ate off the plates that were hanging even on the wall. The girl wanted to eat off that plate too. But it wasn't anything special. The narrator found the burn mark finally on the tablecloth, and looking at this, the girl expressed surprise and she looked at the narrator questioningly. Then the narrator said yes and told her that when you are so used to touching things into your own house, you hardly notice anything. You only notice when something is missing or it needs to be repaired or because you have lent it to somebody else. She again found her voice to be unnatural. She continued, she told the girl that once her mother asked her if she would help her polish the silver, and it was a long time ago, and she was bored that day maybe, and she had to stay that day home. Maybe she was ill. She asked her mother which silver she was talking about. Her mother said it was the spoons, knives, and forks, but she didn't know that it was silver. The girl even laughed and said that she bet she didn't know it was either with what they ate with. The narrator then asked if she knew. The girl hesitated and walked to the sideboard and opened a drawer. She said she would see if it was there. Then the narrator jumped and said that she forgot the time as she had to catch the train. The girl asked her if she did not want to wait for her mother. The narrator still replied with a no and said she must leave. Then the girl pulled the drawer open. The narrator said she could find her way out and walk down the passage as she heard the jingling of spoons and forks. When she reached the corner of the road, she looked at the nameplate again, and it again said Marconi Street, and she was standing at 46. The address was correct, but she doesn't want to remember it anymore. She didn't want to go back, as the things in there reminded her of memories linked with the familiar life of old times. She felt that things lose the value when you are separated from them and you see them again in a strange environment. She did not need them in her small rented room where blackout paper hung over the window and no cutlery fitted in the narrow drawer. And then, in this way, she finally resolved on forgetting the address and forgetting the past as it would be easiest. And this is the end of the story.